So hello and welcome to this video. In the last video I tied this set of twin assists, and in this video I'm going to talk about sizing them for jigs. Doesn't matter what size jig, 20 gram, 500 grams, doesn't matter, it's the same if you're going to fish them from the shore anyway. Not that you're going to be fishing a 500 gram jig. You might in some circumstance, but not one I know about. The heaviest jig I use from the shore, fast jig, slow jig, is 100 grams, and I don't think you're ever going to need more than that. I'm sure there is a circumstance, but that would be a very special thing indeed. To do this, and as I said before, it doesn't matter what size the jig is, I'm going to use this 60 gram here, which I stamped myself, cast and painted, right? And in the future, I will probably do a video on that as well. Okay, so to do this, what you're going to need is a split ring. And if they're about the same size as the jigging ring, that's also, or a little bit bigger, or a lot bigger, it doesn't matter. It's really not that critical. Some people might think it is, but not really, no. So I will say that good quality ones are the must, not because they're going to break or something, they might open, or that doesn't matter. It's just because they don't rust. Okay, that's as simple as that. So first of all, what you do is you put it onto the jig, right? So this is just what you're going to need to connect it, just one split ring, okay? Now the jig itself, right? I'm going to talk about how to size these and why I only fish the hooks on one end of the jig. It's quite simple, because you put hardware on the bottom, it's going to hang up more often than if you didn't. And that's simply it. And apart from that, right, you want to keep the hooks as close to the top as you can, within reason. They need to be flexible so they move like this, so they'll hook up the fish as well and act as a little bit of attractant, right? So they can get inside the fish's mouth as well. Most of the time the jig is on the outside and the hooks are in the inside, is because these work kind of like circle hooks. Most fish feed by vacuum, so they come along, they see the jig, they open their mouths, it goes whoop into the mouth. Then they realize they've eaten something they shouldn't, and they spit it out, and the hook's set in the corner of the mouth, just like a circle hook does with bait and a dingle dangle. That's how this works, and that's why I don't deep hook fish with this setup, ever. I've never done it, not once has the fish swallowed the hooks, never, in I don't know how many years. That says a lot about how well it works, and considering the amount of fish I usually catch anyway. Normally to do this you would use a pair of split ring pliers, but I'm not going to bother, because they'll just get in the way. And I think everybody knows how they work, right? Just put it on like that, okay? Whether you can see it or not, I think you know how it works. And then you put the jigging ring onto that. Like so. Okay, so I'm just going to pretend that this is the leader from your fishing rod, okay? A lot of people, they'd use a connector or something, connect to this or this. In actual fact, if you're going to do that, you'd be better off connecting to this. But actually, you should just tie on to the assists. For the simple reason, and it's happened in a couple of my videos, I'll put a clip in of it actually happening.
Get in there. Fish acquired. He's a better fish. Yes. Oh, there we go. 2 pounds, something like that. Nice little fish though. Lovely sport on that tackle there. Fantastic. We're getting back in the drinky. Bye! Ta-ta, buddy. And thank you, by the way. Fantastic. Decent fish at last. So somehow, the little fecker managed to shake the jig off the split ring. I don't know how he managed that, but he did.
So as that clip demonstrated, that sometimes, it's happened to me twice now, the fish will actually shake the jig off the split ring. So if you tie onto the jig, guess what? The fish is attached to the hook and it's gone. You tie onto the split ring, the same thing. So what you do is you tie onto the assist ring instead. That way you're hooked to the fish always. That's it. Now, you want the hooks to be in the first third of the jig, right? It's not that it won't work if it isn't. It will just hang up less if it is like that. That's it. These ones come nearly to halfway, but that's fine, okay? Absolutely fine. Another area, and this is sizing the jig, is that it doesn't hang up on the body of the jig, right? It has to be able to pass over it, right? And not hang up at any point. Because if it gets stuck on the jig like that, guess what? It doesn't work anymore and you're not catching any fish, right? And I would say, depending on the size of the jig, right, you'd want like a couple of millimeters between the back of the hook lined up with the edge of the jig and the point of the hook, right? And then you're good. You won't ever hang up. And then also you can just do this, and that will give you an idea whether or not there is a chance of it or not. So you take it to the fattest part, just see if you can move it across the jig and like that. And then you know it won't hang up. If the hooks are too big for the jig, it will affect the action. If it's got too much attractant on it, it will affect the action because it acts like a set of flights on an arrow. And this jig wants to go like this in the water, and if it's stabilized by the flash or attractant that you have on the hooks, it will just go straight down like that and it won't work anymore. So you want it to do what slow jigs do, which is go like this, right? Fast jigs will also suffer from that as well. When these go on the drop, sometimes they shoot off to the sides, and some of them even flutter as well. So the same thing applies to them, okay? That's it. You don't want the assists to influence the action of the jig. It's very simple. And you do this by limiting the amount of attractant that you put on the jig or flash or whatever you want to call it. Some people like to fish single hooks on jigs as well, but I really don't think it's a very good idea. We've already dispensed of the trebles or a second pair of assists that would be on the bottom, or one single assist and one single assist, or a pair of assists and a treble. So we've already got rid of that. So you need all the help you can get when you're shore fishing. So I will always go with 2 hooks. Not unless I'm running out, obviously, and then you can go with 1. But just to make life a little bit more successful for yourself, go with 2 hooks. Make sure they're slow jig hooks, and this will limit the amount of problems you have and increase your hookup. That's about it. Now, these will be your 2 things that you will fish with most from the shore if you're going to be doing this. I mean, you can get different patterns of both that do slightly different things, but at the end of the day, they were created for boat fishing, and they don't work the same way as they do off boats when you fish from the shore, because they were fished directly below the boat, right? And when we're shore jigging, we're fishing away from. So the action has changed. All it is a different action. And these jigs, both of them weigh in at 60 grams, right? And if you had, say, a stainless steel counterpart of this same size, it would be roughly about 30 to 40 grams, right? Now, these jigs have almost twice the weight and the same shape and size, so they're going to cast further and they're going to cut through the wind better. And this is why I prefer these over traditional jigs as well. Most of the time I will fish them in this exact same configuration in shallow water. It's about how long you can fish them while they're dropping, and this gives the fish time to make its mind up whether or not it wants to hit the jig or not. It's as simple as that. And if it shoots straight to the floor, like if I was fishing this in 5 meters of water, you're not going to be as successful as you would be in those circumstances if you were fishing a metal jig, i.e. stainless steel jig in shallow water. Sometimes I fish these in shallow water just because I don't really have a choice at that time, or I didn't bring any metal jigs with me, because quite often I don't know where I'm going to be fishing, what type of water I'm going to be fishing. This is what is different between my type of fishing and a lot of other people's type of fishing. About 80% of the places I fish, I've never fished there before. And so I go in heavy with these and the rods a lot of times, just because I'm making videos, just because I want to get a fish, right? If you live in these areas, tailor what you use to the area where you fish. Don't copy what I do, unless the ground is the same as where I fish. It's as simple as that. A lot of the times I'm going in too heavy, right? It's just as simple as that. But that's my world. It's not necessarily your world. So if you have shallower water, use smaller jigs, you know, get into it, enjoy it, invent some systems for yourself and see if they work. That's the beauty of this. Keeps the mind working, keeps your legs working, and keeps the stomach working too, if you're hooking up. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it helps you catch some fish wherever you are in the world. Remember, I'll see you on the beach. Bye.